My lords, the Behemoth Fury is almost upon us. Today, we're going to find out all about it. Behemoth Fury is the new player crisis that comes with Biogenesis. It is only available to bioship using empires. The Behemoth appears to be centered around the idea that we will take our entire civilization and ascend into a gigantic space monster. We will become the apex predators of the stars, not bound by any petty limitations, and we will cast off all biological weakness, becoming the singular force of nature in our galaxy. Selecting this ascension perk will unlock a new crisis path, similar to Nemesis or Cosmogenesis. There are 5 stages, and the mechanic appears very familiar in design. We must accumulate feral insight to level up through the various stages. Each stage will unlock different perks, allowing us to grow ever stronger. Most of the perks are specific to the Behemoth, but some will significantly buff your bioships, your food production, and society research, as your entire empire is skewed towards developing and supporting your Behemoth. In order to birth them, you must first prepare a suitable vessel for something of this size, and a megastructure is required to do it. Behemoth eggs are built and hatched exclusively with food, so your empire's farmers better get to work, because you're going to need an awful lot of food. We will gain access to the new megastructure, the colossal hatchery that will house the Behemoth eggs, and from the tooltip displayed on screen now, these are going to be quite expensive, costing 100,000 food. Eventually, your egg will hatch and a baby Behemoth will appear. Newborns are not very impressive yet, sporting a mere 30,000 fleet power, and a lot of this will come from how tanky they are, meaning they're weak offensively but quite strong defensively, although I would assume that torpedoes will tear them apart. Nevertheless, they are still a far cry from the objective of breeding the ultimate predator, but they are a necessary step. We should note that there's a fancy new ship UI that made way for a brand new growth bar and the very non-threatening rage status. As your newborn goes around the galaxy living its best life by eating ships and populations, it's not yet big enough to eat planets whole, but it will fill up its growth meter. Once the meter is full, it will turn into a button, and if you're far enough along the crisis path, you can click this button to send the Behemoth back to an egg, or if we're being technical, a chrysalis. So maybe it's just a really large butterfly. And butterflies are cute, they wouldn't hurt a soul, right? Anyway, spend another 125,000 food and your baby creature will grow and mature, now ready to feast upon an unsuspecting galaxy. Of course, none of this is without danger. Behemoths are nasty beasts, and until you can find a way to fully control them, they will escape your grasp from time to time, succumbing to their rage and hunger. With the right stimulation, you can, however, induce this rage artificially, unleashing the Behemoth when the time is right. As someone that grew up in the 90s, I can picture Ash and Charizard disagreeing and fighting intensely, until of course Charizard saw something that he deemed worthy of his intention. But moving on, when raging, a Behemoth will attack anything in the system and then attempt to seek out the closest source of food, so this would be a colony or another Behemoth egg, and when they find this, they will go and devour it. As a Behemoth Crisis Empire, you can defeat other Behemoths in combat, beat them into submission, and then take control of them, while other empires that can prevail over a Behemoth will simply kill it. So Behemoth empires are quite literally playing Pokemon. There is a fair amount of finesse to this system, such as the fact that fully fed Behemoths no longer randomly rage, or that if 2 Behemoths meet, they will fight each other, possibly to the death. The rage status indicator in the fleet view should let you know whether your beast is at risk of succumbing to its anger. And I should note, we have been told that it is absolutely possible to get killed by your own feral Behemoth if they get out of control, which sounds bloody marvellous to me. The final level of the Crisis Tree is the most transformative in terms of gameplay. As usual, crossing that line is up to you, and it will have important consequences. Firstly, the galactic community will collectively declare war upon you, and even the fallen empires will have a chance to decide to step in. I must take the time to say, I love that this is the case. For me, a huge issue with Cosmogenesis is that the Galcom, and most of the galactic community at large, simply don't care about Cosmogenesis, unless you're specifically genociding people using the lathe. This for me makes Cosmogenesis far too free, or far too easy if you like, too much gain for barely any risk. Nemesis's power is offset by total war with the galaxy, and I'm happy to see that Behemoth Fury will be as well. The final level of the Crisis will give us access to the Mind Meld. This will allow us to assume full control of a mighty Class 4 Behemoth. And some key notes here. Our mind to the Behemoth. The Behemoth's mind to ours. Its rage will become our own as we are willingly consumed by it, and it becomes us, and we become the beast. Completing this Mind Meld special project allows us to assume full control over one of our own Behemoths, which in turn will keep any other in line, preventing them from raging unless you use the rage action. As you merge the minds of your population with the beasts, you will unlock increasingly powerful bonuses before your final ascension. This in turn appears to unlock the growing pain situation, which will allow us to progress the growth of our Behemoth and gradually transfer our consciousness into it. There is also talk of defeating a final boss, but more on that later. Our capital will swap its city districts for something called a Mind-Link Metropolis, and this will produce unity and research for each pop that has already been transferred and whose mind has already become one with the Behemoth. The starting output is very small, but it will rapidly increase as long as we can find volunteers. On the other hand, having a mind link with a beast like the Behemoth can prove distracting, and your population will raise questions like, what's the point of anything in life when all I want to do is merge with the beast? Such thoughts are represented by the modifiers on screen now, and will grow worse as you progress through the final situation of the crisis. Speaking of, the growing pain situation will track how well you adapt to our new body, and will let us unlock increasingly powerful mutations for our Behemoth. This will grow it into the ultimate star-born predator. The situation will progress faster depending on your approach and your growth factor, which tracks how many pops have been transferred as well as how much you've eaten. At this point, your Behemoth will reach its adult size and can simply go around the galaxy, gobbling up habitable planets and absorbing their biomass, and if anyone's living on it, their population. At this stage of its growth, the Behemoth will make full use of the new fleet UI created for hero ships, and can unlock new activated abilities as you progress through the growing pain situation. At each stage, you'll be given a choice of bonuses to gain, the first of which regards the types of eggs that you want your Behemoth to lay. Eggs will be able to hatch other baby Behemoths or swarms of bioships, which will help support your creature as it devours the galaxy. By the end of this situation, you should have unlocked 5 new activated abilities, located under the usual orders bar. These abilities can target planets, enemy fleets, allied fleets, or the Behemoth itself, and one of them will even let you cloak your Behemoth if you have the First Contact DLC. In addition to all this, the Behemoth will not be locked in combat, say like a Colossus or another navy. It can still be ordered around while fighting, and it even has a fancy combat UI improvement to let you trigger its various abilities. On screen now are various sample abilities on this specific Behemoth, but all of the abilities have different swaps, except the Thermo-Calastic Raw that needs none. This is all incredibly new stuff, and the fleet power doesn't necessarily reflect the abilities like this, so really we're just going to have to play it and see how it goes. I'm very aware that this has been a huge information dump, Clearly an insane amount of work has gone into this crisis path, and it's still not fully transparent to me. Earlier I mentioned an ultimate boss for the Behemoth to fight. Well, the artwork on that was a Void Spawn, and well-read members of you will know that the Void Spawn we see in our galaxy are tiny babies by comparison to what they're capable of growing into. I would bet good galactic coin that the final boss will be a big boy Void Spawn, who recognises the challenge that the Behemoth represents, and then they go fully Godzilla King Kong on us, using our galaxy as a boxing ring. I'd like to take this moment to give massive thanks to the Stellaris development team for even considering such an outlandish story in Crisis Path. I imagine being a fly on the wall in the developer meeting when someone, probably Mr. Cosmogon, raised a hand and suggested Space Godzilla versus Space Kong, and Eladrin, the game director, smiles and nods and says, "Sounds great, get to work." This Crisis Path is unlike anything we've had in Stellaris before. The hero-type element to the Behemoth is wild. It is literally an entirely new way of playing the game, all while fitting in with the new galactic ascension and not really breaking the rules of the galaxy. I can tell you with certainty that there will be multiplayer games where everyone takes this Crisis Path and has a giant death battle of behemoths until one god of the galaxy remains. And by Shroud, I'm here for it. But we must move on. Here is some of the new portraits that we are going to get with Biogenesis, and while they scroll on by, I'll mention that if you've not yet purchased Season 9 and or the Biogenesis DLC and wish to do so, then I'd encourage you to use my affiliate link in the pinned comment or the description, and a big thank you to everyone who's already done that. Your support is appreciated. Next up, we've had some Civics revealed, so let's talk about them. Crowdsourcing is up first, and this sounds quite cool. This makes factions produce research instead of unity, and increases their output a smidge. I wonder how this will work with parliamentary system. Could this be a really niche way of tech rushing? Genetic identification is next, and this feels to me like it'll be great for role-playing. In this empire, it requires every citizen to be genetically registered at birth. This will reduce crime and increase society research from bureaucrats. This has Purity Ascension written all over it. Another is civil education. This will replace all enforcers with educators, suggesting that there are no bad citizens, just bad teachers. It will amuse me when this empire suffers rebellion after rebellion. A few Hive civics now, aerospace adaptation first. This is a bioship focused civic which reduces bioship upkeep and increases bombardment damage, which I thought felt odd, but it had me thinking that maybe this is a perfect setup for some nihilistic acquisition play. That's the Ascension perk that allows you to steal population via bombardment, which then, since you're a Hive, you could assimilate into your hive mind. Maybe that'll be a new niche way to play. There is a new machine civic, which the Deep Space Citadel Turtles will love. This is called Stalwart Network and increases the effectiveness of starbases and defensive stations. And finally we have a redacted civic, but I'm going to guess that this is the Body Snatcher civic, which I've seen floating around the Stellaris Discord channel, or chat about it at least. It's redacted here as I stated, but I think this is it. This hive will specialise in infiltration, commandeering the bodies of unfortunate organics and eventually assimilating them. This civic sounds wacky indeed, and will give a subtle boost to espionage, which is quite cool. It will give hives access to assimilation from game start, and give them access to the prepare invasion and smuggle population espionage missions. Smuggle population is a new operation that will be available to everyone. This allows you to steal a few hundred pops from a target empire. Whether you are using this to liberate slaves or acquire fuel for the lathe is up to you. Prepare invasion, however, is exclusive to body snatchers, and for a cost of population will let you strike from the shadows at the start of a war, flipping starbases in systems close to you, and even then spawning a handful of armies on some planets in an attempt to conquer them by surprise. The total number of systems affected by this depends on how many pops you choose to sacrifice when preparing the operation, with a maximum of 2,000 pops of the victim species for 50% of its controlled systems. This feels like exactly what Epsionage is meant for. Of course, I've not yet seen it in action, but I cannot wait to. This feels fantastic, and I love that they're delving more into this style of play. The Epsionage system has so much potential, but I think it's fair to say that potential has yet to be realised. Folks, I'm going to round this one up with the partial release notes. This is some of what's coming with 4.0 and Biogenesis, and I've separated it out for you, so you'll know what we'll get with the DLC and what you'll get with the patch. We'll start with the Biogenesis specific content. With Biogenesis, you will get overhauled genetic ascension, which will allow you to choose from the 3 ascension paths, cloning, maturity or mutation. We'll have access to 18 advanced authorities, and you'll be able to customize your genetic ascension by blending maturity, cloning and mutation together, which is a brand new feature. Biological ships will come with Biogenesis, the player crisis path Behemoth Fury, 3 new origins, evolutionary predators, Starlit Citadel and Wilderness, the Hive Fallen Empire, 7 new Civics, the Deep Space Citadel megastructure, 12 new species portraits, 16 new phenotype traits, a wilderness themed city set and diplomatic room, new music, and 65 new events. Now moving on to features specific with 4.0, dubbed Phoenix. The planet economy has been completely reworked. Pop groups and workforce game concepts have been introduced. Pop growth has been entirely reworked. The Empire focus and timelines have been added. Trade has been revamped into a regular resource, and a databank game information library has been added. My lords, I'm well aware that this was a huge information dump. I do hope it was valuable to you. Next week will be a busy one with lots of new lore to dig into. Please remember to use the affiliate link to purchase if you've not already, and I hope to see you later in the week for more Stellaris content.